Cardinal Francis George of the Archdiocese of Chicago. He will help choose the next pope, and he just left a lunch with his fellow cardinals. Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon here.
Thank you so much for joining us from Rome and Vatican City.
You're very welcome.
Thank
you for the invitation.
What was the lunch like? And tell us the sense of what are the cardinals saying to each other?
Well, the moment of saying goodbye to the Pope was, of course, an emotional moment, but also one of deep, deep respect and gratitude, not only for what he has done throughout 8 years, but also for the moment. And he, as was said, appeared joyful and relaxed. The cardinals among themselves are speaking about a lot of things, from the weather to who should be the next pope. And those conversations will continue now in earnest until we go into conclave.
What are you looking for?
We're looking for someone who can be the Bishop of Rome, that is, respond to the needs of this local church, but also, because he's universal pastor, respond to the needs of the whole world. When Paul VI went to speak to the United Nations, he said he was an expert in humanity, because for 2,000 years, the papal chair has accompanied the experiences of the human race. So somebody, therefore, has a universal vision and a heart for the poor in particular, who are the first in the kingdom of heaven, and then someone who has the necessary languages requisite for communication in our day, and of course someone who can govern, who has the habit of making decisions necessary to keep the church faithful to her Lord, and a pleasing personality, we all hope, of course. So,
yeah, you need a good personality to be Pope.
Yeah. And what about reform?
Reform of the Curia, or reform of doctrine, or what reform are you speaking of?
I'm referring to the sex abuse scandal and other divisions that are within the church.
Well, reform of the sex abuse scandal has to continue, as it's been said. We now have the legal instruments within the Code of Canon Law to deal more expeditiously with this. That's largely the result of the present Pope. And it was a concern of his predecessor when he asked him as a cardinal to take charge of this, because he realized that the local bishops weren't all doing a good job. So I think the structure of the reform is in place, but as long as you have people who have been victimized alive, you must accompany them, and therefore it's always a live issue. And sometimes there are new cases that have to be investigated, but at least in the United States, I think we have the structures necessary to move forward. Mm-hmm. As far as other reforms, that depends upon what we're talking about. The church doesn't live in every age. She lives beyond every age, rooted in what happened 2,000 years ago. And so for the first question that comes when somebody says, well, let's change this, is, would this keep us in contact with Christ? Is this a reform that's consistent with what God has revealed? That's the first question. After that comes our experience, or the zeitgeist, the experience of the age.
Cardinal, do you think this will be a short conclave, that the cardinals will make up their minds pretty quickly?
We all hope so. That's important, and it depends upon how much time we have to prepare the conclave. That's what the general congregation, so-called, are all about. We begin Monday at 9:30 in the morning. We continue at 3 in the afternoon Monday, and then we'll see how many more we need before we're ready to go into conclave. The conclave will be short if we've talked among ourselves enough so that we have a sense of not only who's being talked about, but also who's being supported. And that becomes clear only with the first ballot in conclave. If the first ballot is very unclear, it could be a long conclave, because conclaves aren't moments to talk. Conclaves are moments to pray and to vote.
Right.
Both of them take a long time, and we don't have as much time to talk as we'll have now in the coming days, perhaps a week or maybe a little more before we go into conclave.
Orchestra, dove le diversità espressioni. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.